Despite the cold weather, more than 200 Wisconsin FFA members made the trek to the state capitol building with the task of advocating for agriculture education. I'm Stephanie Hoff for the Midwest Farm Report, and I had the pleasure of tagging along with Sun Prairie East and West FFA chapters. Joshua Capodarco is the ag teacher and FFA advisor at Sun Prairie East. East and West each have about 300 FFA students. They brought a couple from each chapter to talk about the importance of FFA and ag education funding in the next state budget. As Sun Prairie becomes a more urban location, a majority of those students don't come from the farm, but Joshua says that's not a problem.
I think I can count on one hand the students, and not even just officers, just the students that come from production ag backgrounds, where their family is spending their time and doing their job, it's their primary job in production agriculture. Most of our students are coming with maybe some family members that do something on the side or have vegetable gardens or have chickens, but most of them don't come to us with a lot of ag background.
So what does that tell you then, that you've got 300 kids taking agriculture courses that are in FFA, but a majority of them have really no production ag experience?
I think it shows you that there's a demand, and it shows that we've also put in the work as advisors to focus on what students want. So our courses are, especially like our animal courses, food focused, right? Thinking about what do these students need to know as consumers going into the grocery stores, right? They might not know how to raise a steer from start to finish, but they know from their lived experience that they go in the grocery store and they see options about different things, different prices for beef, different labels on beef, different things on egg labels, right? So we tend to focus on that as well. And our classes are hands-on and active, right? Students are up doing things, filling our greenhouse, raising lettuce inside of a classroom, raising fish, right? So they're up and active, which is what our students really want. They don't just want to be told about something, they want to do something.
And they're bringing that experience to the state capitol building, where they're advocating for essentially increased support for FFA. And how do you prepare high school students to talk to their senators and representatives?
So the big story that I've been emphasizing is you have a valuable story to tell through your lived experience, through the things that have brought you joy in FFA, through the skills you gained in FFA, through the future that you're building, whether it's agriculture related or not, right? You're learning skills, you're learning things here, and the big thing is just sharing that story. These senators or representatives may or may not know, they might not have that lived experience. And when you share that lived experience, that becomes infectious. If you share your joy with them, they're going to remember that. We can hand them a sheet of paper that says, we've given X number of students degrees, or students have won these contests, but they're going to remember those smiles, they're going to remember those memories from students when they, say, for example, see a bill that mentions funding CTE.
Yeah. And you are making that ask today to include CTE funding, that's career and technical education funding, in the budget. What would this mean for a chapter like yours?
I think not just our chapter, but every chapter, as we move towards more full affiliation, so having every FFA chapter offer membership to all students to reduce barriers so that every kid can move from being in my classroom to participating in an FFA contest without any, now you need to pay. By having additional funding specifically for CTSOs in our budget, it's going to allow chapters to be able to afford that. It's going to allow chapters to very quickly say affiliation makes sense. I want to offer all my students those opportunities, where previously it's not that teachers don't want to, it's the financial bit. You have to raise a lot of money to make sure you can pay that bill every year. And so having it paid is going to guarantee that teachers are going to give their students more opportunities.
Joshua Capodarco is the ag teacher and FFA advisor at Sun Prairie East High School. I polled two students from the group. Lydia Statz is the FFA President at Sun Prairie East. Jada Danielson from Sun Prairie West serves as her chapter's student advisor. Jada starts us off explaining that their job at the state capitol this week was to advocate for additional funding for FFA chapters.
Yeah, so at Sun Prairie West, we have a 51% of our school is low income, so by having increased funding, it can help us support students who wouldn't be able to attend certain FFA events. It would give them the comfort so that they are able to attend.
And as you said, part of your job at the Capitol was to share a personal story with FFA, how it's impacted your life. What were some of the stories that you told your legislators today that you think they were drawn to?
I told the legislators today about like my experience in FFA and agriculture and how I've grown up around my family's dairy farm and how that has shaped me into the person today, and showing cattle at Dane County Fair, all the memories I've made with people, and like the main importance around that to me is it's not just about like the ribbons and achievements, it's about like the memories you make along the way with people.
Not just showing animals at the county fair, but introducing younger people to animals that they may not have otherwise seen or gotten to even hold before, right?
Yeah, so I share, like through FFA, I like to tell people that FFA is not just cows, plows, and sows, and that there's so many other things within agriculture, and teaching the public where their food comes from.
And I know Sun Prairie West has a unique program coming on and that you are directly involved with, reaching out to younger students.
Yeah, so I don't come from an FFA or background, like none of my family, they don't know anything about it, and I don't come from an agriculture like background whatsoever. And so FFA was my primary introduction to agriculture, and I am starting up a program for our middle school chapter so that younger students can get introduced sooner than I did, so that they can experience all agriculture has to offer them and all FFA has to offer them for their future.
Do you think you got the message across today so far as you've been talking with legislators or your peers from other chapters? How do you think the conversation has been going?
Absolutely. I think it's been going really well. I think we're all able to share like our stories and how agriculture and FFA has impacted us. And I think it's been really successful, and I'm excited for our upcoming meeting.
Yeah, I can agree that it's been going very successful, and that we have been sharing our stories and how we can connect to agriculture and FFA. And
have you ever had an interaction with a state lawmaker, and what's the experience like? Were you nervous at first?
I wasn't that nervous, but I was excited to tell my story of FFA and agriculture and how I've grown and learned stuff in it, and how I can influence the public about agriculture and inviting younger people into our FFA chapter as well. So
I think it's important to know they didn't just set you loose in the state capitol. There was a lot of prep work that went into today.
Yeah, so we ultimately had to prepare like what we wanted to bring to the legislators and what our main goals and things that we wanted to talk about were. And then we also had to prepare like a document that we were to give to them, just to kind of show them some quick like statistics about our school and our FFA program as well.
Yeah, so last night we met with our chapter and our team to decide what we want to talk about and what are the main business points we want to bring to the table. So we wanted to talk about funding and just how FFA has impacted us and how we want to impact others with FFA, and talking about our stories in agriculture, because we all have different backgrounds within FFA and agriculture.
Yeah, you all have different backgrounds. We're talking to someone who does have on-farm experience. We're talking with someone today who does not, yet you're representing the same organization. I think it's a memorable experience, too, when the FFA students come out in droves in their corduroy jackets. When you guys are in official dress, do you get a lot of questions?
Actually, yeah, this morning before I came, we went to Starbucks, and the lady was like, "Is that for FFA?" And we were like, "Yep." And she's like, "Well, what are you doing?" And we're like, "We're going to advocate for agriculture at the Capitol." And so some people know what it's about and some people don't. So it's just fun to be able to share those stories and like what the blue jacket means to us.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel pride walking around in the blue and gold?
Yeah, for sure. I really enjoy it, and I love teaching people about what FFA does and how we impact agriculture and people around us.
When you go back to school this week and you tell your peers what went down at the state capitol, what's your message?
Just advocate for what you're passionate about and what you believe in, and our passions lie in FFA. So it's an honor to be able to advocate for that at our Capitol, and so I'm excited to share that with others.
You're hearing from Jada Danielson from Sun Prairie West. She serves as her FFA chapter's student advisor. We also heard from Lydia Statz, the FFA President at Sun Prairie East. From FFA Day on the Hill at the state capitol, I'm Stephanie Hoff.